Yeah. That was the difference.
No one told you life was gonna be this way.
Alrighty, before we get started,
You can just hear me sipping the coffee. Is so sick.
is there anything you want the people to know about you before answering any of my questions? A little synopsis of you as a person, maybe?
I have no idea how in the hell I got here. It is nothing short of an act of providence. I'm extremely confused when I have so much attention given to me as a very socially anxious person. And every single day is a surprise. It feels like my life ended about 3 years ago and someone started writing like fan fiction of it, and I'm just kind of stuck in the middle.
I think that's the most beautiful response I've ever gotten to that. How long have you lived in Washington?
Well, I'm 31, so 31 years. I mean, if you want to count the like month-long stints I've spent elsewhere, 31 with like 2 months in Belgium at separate times, one 1 month trip and another 1 month trip. Some weeks in Sweden. It's more of a trip than a living. And the entirety of springtime 2021 in the Southwest. So like Phoenix, San Antonio, bouncing back and forth.
What got you into photography?
Oh man. So I was raised under the premise that my dad loved photography and was a photographer. I cannot tell you that I once in my life, aside from a road trip we went on, remember him using a camera. But the whole thing was he likes photography. So I'm like, oh, you must. And with that, my parents would give me like disposable cameras and little point and shoots, like all the way down to probably when I was 3, but my earliest memory is probably 5 or 6. So I like been rocking.
Oh, you've been rocking.
It's not nonstop, but it's been adjacent my whole life.
Oh yeah. The next question was gonna be how long have you been shooting for, but you kind of already answered.
Kind of. So like to my memory, with really big gaps and 93% of it to 97% of it being super non-serious and just having a camera and not knowing what to do with it, 25 years. But like actually like studying really hard, I've had 2 stints. I had a time that I shot a lot but didn't really know what I was doing on film in 2014 and 15. I was doing skateboarding photos. I had 2018 and 19 and a little bit of 20 where I was just like drunk party god running around with disposable cameras. That somehow got me somewhere, which is weird. And then it was really weird. And then I have early 2022 to present of shooting digital and like really buckling down, getting a lot of support, being like, okay, I should learn this. So kind of 25, kind of 2, maybe 4.
It's there, but you're doing it, and you're doing great.
I did time.
Well, tell me about your current camera rig.
Fuji X-H2. It's the best sensor you can get on the market in my very, very, very strong biased opinion. Fuji was the first camera I ever got when I was a little kid.
I'm a Canon girly.
It's a camera. You can use it. I know plenty of very respectable, awesome shooters that use Canon. Kelly Mason, I believe, might use Canon. She uses Sony, and she's gonna slap me for this, but we ball. It's a Fuji X-H2. Camera body's really nice, like 40 megapixel sensor. I can just pull back from highlights really well, so if I accidentally blow out a photo, I can edit it down so it doesn't just look like, oh. If I shoot it too dark, it's really easy to pull up from all the raw, so it doesn't look like just grungy and eh. And the lenses that I use for it and the flash that I use for it are actually some of the cheapest new stuff you can get on the market. I use third-party lenses almost exclusively. Samyang, TT Artisans, 7 Artisans, Opteka. I don't have anything from Opteka right now, but I have. And they're all really cheap lenses. You can get them for like $100, and they make them for every mount. So if you want to get it for Canon, easy. My favorite lens is $40.
I might have to look into that.
And the flash I use is like a $90 Godox TT350, and I own like 6 of them because I kept breaking them. But a homie of mine, that's why I use cheap ones, they break. But a homie of mine just recently put me on, you can replace the part that broke with a metal version that doesn't break as easy. So like I'm probably going to be hopping on that like pretty soon.
You're going to be pretty set.
Oh, I'll be great.
So I know you were a skater. You mentioned that earlier. How long have you been skating for?
How old are you?
18.
3 years longer than you've been alive.
That's sick though. I definitely did do my research on you. By that I mean I went through your entire Instagram. I'm just letting you know now to pull a Nardwar on you. A lot of your earlier work gives me a very avant-garde vibe, like cityscapes, all of it. You're doing the do. What was the creative process of taking those? Just point and shoot, or
anything I could get my hands on, predominantly film or whatever niche digital camera was out at the time. I used a Ricoh GR2 for a lot of that because that was a camera that this like extremely brazen, almost neglectful fine art photographer from Japan, Dairo Moriyama, would use at a time. But he uses hella cameras. That's just like one of many that he used. I did use one of the earlier Fujis that I had back in 2021 for some of that too. Yeah, the process was just, I don't know. It honestly was an ego war. Like, it was mostly just me being like a pretentious fuck and being like, I'm cooler than you. I can make this building look tight. Like, I'm not even gonna cap. Like, I'm proud I took those photos, but like my mind state, my emotional state at that time was
not it.
It's not the guy that anyone would smile at in the scene these days. It's not at all.
At least you're honest and open and aware. It's better than just being like, no, I was fine, and still being said pretentious person.
Oh, if I had that mindset, I'd still be there. Ugh, nightmare.
Ooh, heebie-jeebies. Your current photography style is quite unique, and from photographer to photographer, I do take a lot of inspiration from your work just because you are everywhere that I am, show-wise. Do you have any photographers like that in your life?
So I don't know if it's just like the Libra moon in me or the autistic parroting. Undiagnosed, don't quote me on it. I have too many to count. Like, there's not really one person. I just kind of like, I roll around with a fine-tuned magnet for just things I like and just scroll past many people that I enjoy, and whatever I think of their style either seems cool or something I'm insecure about that I think I can do better or want to try just to see how it fits for me. Like, I kind of just pull those things along and make them mine. One dude that gave me the biggest push recently, and we're actually in contact a little bit, is this dude out of LA, goes by Braze Brain. Wild work, like super high contrast, really punchy, but it's not like oversaturated, like corny vibes. It's pretty tastefully done. Like, it kind of pushes the limit for how much you can edit a photo and really give it that like without pushing it too far. And he does mostly like modeling and portrait work that is sometimes pretty heavily photoshopped, but like validly so, like copying people into photos and stuff like that. So we have very different approaches. I try to do like a very honest, like, this is where I was, make it pop kind of thing. He does like a, wouldn't that be cool? But I try.
There's 8 of them.
I just want that pop, you know. It's like, best way I can describe it is anything I see, thank you, about other people's photography, I hope to have the same effect that some of the cooler photographers have on me, on other people. Like, the same impression that I get from Bray of like, that is so tight, I want to do that. I just want to be that for someone.
That's so
that's really it. I just hope someone else looks at my stuff and they're like, damn, that's tight, I want to learn from that.
What are some of the things you enjoy capturing? Very broad overall.
Oh, I don't have a strict thing I enjoy capturing.
Just everything.
Well, the thing I like to capture is kind of, this sounds so fucking hippie, it hurts. Like, I feel like I should be on inspo TikTok. It's painful, but I just like capturing whatever makes it feel like it's worthwhile still being alive. And I just hope to remind people that. I've had too many friends die where I didn't have photos of them. I've had too many friends think that they had a bad time or didn't have a good life when they had so much beautiful stuff right in front of them. I just want it to be so fucking painfully obvious how good life can be that no one can deny it. That's it. That's really it. I just, like, that's really all I want to do. If it's something I see really pretty outside, or someone smiling or hugging or enjoying themselves or just being able to like exist comfortably, like, that's all I want. Oh, so much. I would love a warm up. Thank you. Don't worry about the mic.
Yeah, it's coffee mug mic.
I promise I'll tip you well.
Coffee pour I've
I'm
ever
so
seen.
scared. I feel like she's low-key mad. I'm so sorry.
I'm about to pull a Nardwar. Tell me about Mr. Nobody's Emotional Junkyard.
That was the first semi-productive, but mostly woe is me, self-indulgent thing that I did after getting sober. To summarize, wasted 10 years of my life off and on getting super drunk, being emotionally neglectful, lying, gaslighting, cheating, running away from everything. Not great. Ended up in Phoenix after burning enough bridges that I was just like done. I figured everywhere else was screwed, had no friends, whatever, I'll just start over new here. Then same kind of thing happened down there. Everyone I was around was an addict like me. And it was just like painful to just watch this black mirror of just like whack shit keep happening around me. Realized it had to stop. It was not so easy. Eventually, luckily it did. Can't say it was me, but just something happened. I don't even know what. I stopped. I stopped drinking, and I was able to kind of get it together. Everything I went through for that sucked. Withdrawals, physical effects, loss, confusion. Oh my God, my coping mechanism's gone. How do I deal with life? Come back home, think things are sweet, try to reconnect with a bunch of people. Some people ain't feeling it like that because when you're a dick for 10 years, no one's going to think, oh yeah, he's back, things are great. Dealt with some really harsh criticisms. So what ended up happening was I went so fucking manic that I sat in my house for that's where I got the beard, dude. I sat dead ass. I'm not even kidding. I just kept it. But I sat in my house for the entire month of November 2021, like just drawing out my intrusive thoughts because I was like, these are going to do me harm unless I get them out. Like, you know, I feel like keeping those things in is like a bullet in the brain. Like, it's literally only going to shoot you. And if you put it out somewhere, at least it exists. People can be aware of it. Maybe someone can relate to it, and it diverts a target instead of doing damage, you know?
That's the beauty of art.
I did those, and I ended up making like 20 or 30 of them, and I was like, this is pretty cool. What if I made like 100? And then I made like 100, 120 or something like that, because I just kept having them pop up. And I showed it to an art space in Everett called Jag, which I like, because I also love graffiti, and they're a good graffiti shop. They loved it, and they're like, oh my God, we'd love to have a show. Like, what if you just like said fucking try to do 150? And I was like, oh my God, that's so many. I don't know if I got that. And then I did. And then I was like, fuck it, what if I just made it even and made 200? So I made literally, and I have like 147 of them left, probably. Illustrations of just like gnarly intrusive thoughts. I'm not gonna lie, they're not pretty. Like, it's a lot of really ugly emotional stuff, like heavy. You got it out. Is the light from the stuff gonna blur the camera too much? And it's not like the audio has fuzz from the light.
That is true.
But no, the thoughts were kind of gnarly though. Some people were not prepared because I recently realized the only examples of my art that I truly have are that. So I realized after that, I'm like, I should probably keep making art because it's been a while since I've made any art. Because like immediately after that, I was introduced to Animal House, and then I just got too busy. Like I thought I was gonna be a muralist or like an illustrator. I didn't think I was gonna be a photographer, and then I just.
Well, it's the way life takes you.
So now I'm trying to make more art too, to just be like, I can't just have sad examples of my work. Like, I'm half decent at drawing. Like, but no, it was great. We made hella money, and I feel really bad because most of the art isn't in people's hands because, like I said, right after that, I got introduced to Animal House, and then the photography thing blew up. So I just have like a crate of people's art at my house, labeled with their names and cell phone numbers, most of them, that I can get to them. I just haven't been able to take the time out because I'm overwhelmed of like, oh, the shipping costs, or oh my God, it's been 2 fucking years, bro, almost 3. How am I supposed to hit you up and just be like, hey, yo, what's up, slime? Are we cool? Like, no. I'm so nervous. I'm so nervy. People that I have gotten art to have been really cool about it. They're like, oh, I get it. You got busy. I just figured it'd be a nice surprise. And I'm like, you're so sweet because it's eating my lunch.
My sweet summer child. Thank you so much. To segue into the DIY scene of Seattle, when were you, like, introduced into the community?
Honestly, way before Animal House.
Do tell.
During the 2018-2019 disposable camera Drunko King split, I was in the middle of burning my bridges. Big sad boy energy. Left Seattle because I felt like I hurt everyone around me and had no friends. Ended up in Everett. Through some events, discovered an art gallery out there that was called Black Lab. It still exists, but it moved. Where it moved from is now the Lucky Dime. So that's really funny.
That is funny.
Hilarious, actually. And it's owned by one of my friends that interned for the owner of Black Lab. So it was a whole switch around. But I walked into that gallery space because I saw it was open one night when I was just on like a hot one. Like I was just manic as shit. I was definitely more art focused, but I had the disposable camera left over from just shooting a lot of disposable stuff at the time.
Running around and dicking around.
Yeah. And walked into the gallery thinking I was just going to see some art, but it was like lit kind of dark and there was music in the background. I'm like, oh, is there a show going on or something weird? No one made me pay a cover or anything. And I just hear from across the room like some random voice, Jimmy Humphryes, and I'm like, what the fuck?
What?
Who the fuck knows me here? This is so weird. And I walk over, and it's this kid that used to go to a skate park that I worked at back in like 2012, 2013. And he's like, dude, it's Killian. Yo, you remember me? I'm like, oh my God, you're the scooter kid that used to go to the park. What the fuck? And it turns out he was the drummer in a band, and they had just played a set, and I missed it. And they're like, yo, you should come to one of our shows sometime. Like, it'd be sick. And I'm like, word, I'd be down. So I went to one of their shows, and I shot photos with a disposable. And then they were hyped on the photos and just kept inviting me to shows. So for all of 2019, I was just like the off and on, like, drunk hype man going to every single show that existed within 3 miles of Hewitt, including a house venue that is very long gone in Everett called Firehouse, which was fire. It was a but it was a 2-story house with a fire pole from the top to the bottom, and the shows would be held in living rooms. So you could sit above this like fire pole hole and watch the shows or get angles. And it was like the drunk party game. Not trying to condone drinking, it's just what we did. But it was the drunk party game to like try to climb the pole to get up there. So much wild stuff happened. Like, oh my God. Like there was one time, Rabbit from Velvet Q, when Velvet Q was more active, they played a show there, and they like straight up climbed up the pole and like were singing bending over backwards like right in front of me down the hole into the crowd. Like I cannot imagine how wild it looked from below. Like that was the nuttiest thing I ever saw.
That would have been a sick shot.
Then there was another house venue, which is ironically on the same exact street as the former Evil House and current bakery, like within half a block of both of them. That was called Chop Shop back in 2019 that I went to during that whole stint. And I remember there was a show there. This might have been 2 separate shows, but the bill that I remember was Clothing Optional, Killian's band, Narrow Tarot, in Aisle 8, which is Oblate Reed's backing band now, / his producer is the drummer. And I forget who else. But yeah, no, I got introduced like a while ago. And then COVID happened, me burning all my bridges happened, I backed away, and then it just somehow slipped back into Animal House in 2022 just by pure fate.
It's meant to be. You're meant to be at the shows.
I guess.
That's sick though. I had no idea that there were so many other. Well, I definitely was aware of old venues that have like come and gone, but that area of Seattle is poppin'.
UW's crazy.
UW is crazy.
Not all of them last though. Some of them are only like 1 or 2 show bangers.
Yeah.
Like the Ladies' Room was like a quick hit.
Mm-hmm.
That I think was it Sarah her name did for a second. I never got to go. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Some more Nardwar stuff. Tell me about the first book you've been working on.
First book I've been working on, or the first book I dropped?
You dropped one? I did not do sufficient. Well, do tell.
Well, also keep in mind I was a drunk son of a bitch with an ego. I wasn't posting shit. I thought I was just cool.
Look at me.
No, like on God. So the first one I actually dropped was called From Disposition. If that's not a pretentious title, I don't know what is. But so 2018, went to Belgium, kind of on purpose, kind of on accident. Stayed for a month, kind of on purpose, kind of on accident. Shot a shit ton of photos. Had a disposable camera with me by the suggestion of my friend Brent Berry, who's a local cinematographer / photographer. Did skate videos back in the day. And I met this dude. His last name is interesting because it's Dutch, but Pim Notbriard, I think. Sorry, Pim, if I get your name wrong. But Pim Notbriard showed me how to refill disposable cameras. Yeah, Kodak Fun Savers, you can reuse them. But you have to do it kind of weird and like load it in a dark room because with disposables, all the film starts outside of the roll. And then when you advance it, it goes in. So you have to be able to take it apart, go to a dark room, put the film on the spool in a dark room, which is what I did all through 2019 in like 1-person bathrooms in people's houses. And
that must have been a struggle.
Wasn't that bad actually. I got really good at it. It got to the point where I would just wear 2 hoodies and I'd change film in my pocket at shows. Sometimes there were light leaks. Didn't matter. I was drunk. Didn't care. But
adds to the effect.
But I shot a shit ton of photos of the people I met out there, skating and like. We went to a couple shows. I got to see Death Grips in Belgium. That was schlap. Maybe Death Grips was the first show I shot, but I got 1 photo before the pit exploded, so I don't know if it counts. To recontinue. So I shot hella photos, turned into a book, called it From Disposition, went back the next year, gave a bunch of my friends copies of the book, and sold a bunch of them copies of the book. I took like 75 copies of Belgium, got rid of all of them. And we had my very first ever solo exhibition out there where I piggybacked on the back of this skate distribution company out there called Jean-Jacques, which distributes like some of the bigger like dope companies out there like Polar and things like that. But they did like a tour and I went on tour with them just around Belgium. Posted all my photos at their end party with like a little rave in a warehouse that we would skate at called the Beer. Yeah, it was tight. It was really cool. But I found out something really funny about the book though. Like, I accidentally named it the worst possible thing that I could name for Belgium. So, from disposition, and I split it up into 3 different things. So, FDP. It turns out FDP is the Belgian equivalent of WTF, and it translates to fils de pute, which basically means son of a whore. And then I found out even better, pounding the nail, PTN. I put the PTN logo on the back. PTN is the long form of pute, which is putain, which is whore. So I made a book that said whore, son of whore. And I had no idea. I had not one fucking clue. My friends almost liked it more for that. They were just like, oh, chat. Thanks, Abby. Fits the boot. They would always give me shit because I didn't know like French or Dutch that well. And they're like trilingual, so they're always speaking like that. Oh my god, it was insane. They're like, oh, baguettes. Oh. And I'm like, fuck you. But no, they were really sweet people though.
So funny.
So that's the first book that I dropped. I have 2 more now that I want to do. One that is based on when I was getting fucked up in the Southwest and the turning point of that, because I had a lot of film photos from there. And I kind of want that one to just be like an awareness of like just what happens when you're in that place, but not too explicit because I don't want to like traumatize fools, but like just generally like the restlessness. But it hasn't felt right to drop it, so I like keep teasing like I'm gonna work on it more, and then like I just wait. But there's another one actually I do want to drop by the end of summer that I haven't told hardly anyone about. I'm excited about. It's a very simple one. It's super easy concept, nothing wild. It should be the lowest brain game for me, ideally. So hopefully it'll be a nice little introduction to like, okay, I'll make a book again. It'll just be easy.
Do you want to yap more about that one, or are you keeping it under wraps?
Ramene lobotomy.
That's all? I don't want to tease more of your book, but I know Luciano recently published Taste the Floor.
Mm-hmm. He's been giving me so much shit to make one. He's so pissed. Literally. My man is just like, why don't you drop a book? Like, people like your photos. Like, you should just have, like, a physical copy. And I'm like, yeah, but I post all my shit to Instagram. Like, what am I going to do? Save all my good photos and not post them so I can put them in a book? What am I going to do? Make a book of the photos I already posted? Also, my digital photography switches over so much. My style evolves every 3 shows. So it's like, imagine saving up enough photos for a book. Like, all I'm going to be doing is looking at shit I've already surpassed. And to other people, that'll be cool. Like, oh, remember this? But for me, it'll be like,
Personally, I love the accessibility and like welcoming aura of just scenes all over. What would you say some of your favorite things are from just DIY in general?
Honestly, what you just said, access. You know, it gives bands that can never get a venue a platform that low-key is better than any venue, in my opinion. Fans that'll stand you and aren't just there for the headliner. Fans that'll actually turn up and turn out and go crazy. Typically full packed house rather than God knows who's going to show up at the 21 plus and they're probably just drunk and bitching because you're not good enough. Yeah. I'm projecting. It's not always that way. Some of them are really good. This is a me problem. But yeah, I think just like, yeah, the wholesome inclusive vibe of it, the extreme support, you know. I will say there is like a high turnover rate though, but I think that's just natural because a lot of it is like younger homies. Actually, you know, I don't even know if it's an age thing. I think it happens to everyone. Like every couple years, someone phases out for something that they were doing. Yeah. Whether you're 18 or fucking 80, you're always kind of shifting a little bit.
Always changing, always morphing.
Yeah, so I guess just sticking around watching the turnover is interesting. But other than that, it's super inclusive and great. It feels very safe.
It does.
Like there's risk, but like the risk has like good people to help you allocate how to deal with that.
Shows are great. They hold such a special little place in my heart, even if I get spin kicked in the head while I have my camera. Ooh, do you have any favorite local bands? I wonder who. Are there any other mediums of creative expression that you are or want to start trying out?
There's a lot of stuff that I enjoy doing. Like, I did open mic poetry for a while. I still, on occasion, write, but not very often because it came from more when I was sad. I can write when I'm happy. It's just, I'd rather go live life. I mean, I love graffiti to death. Illustration in general. I mean, there's things I want to expand upon right now that are kind of difficult for me to expand upon, but I think they'll help me out a lot. But it's kind of just more of the same. I want to learn how to use Adobe Illustrator so I can actually get into like more graphic design stuff. Because I can do it analog. Like I've, painted signs for people and stuff. But I want to be able to make like posters and shit. like be able to really stylize it as far as I want instead of just like this font is okay. But and I want to get good at Photoshop as well, just for some of those heavier editing things where it's like you're not just gonna make the light look good, but like maybe you should like change the whole vibe. So I want to get better at those two. But again, that's kind of just what I'm already doing, just a new tool. It's hard to find the time and the focus though, because my brain be like,
Do you have a favorite style of graffiti?
shit,
Man.
I don't know. The graffiti I like the most is just whatever catches me off guard and feels either extremely well done in a unique way or so incredibly bad and out of touch that it's kind of good. Like I think one of my favorite pieces of graffiti, and like I rock with like graffiti writers hard. I mean, I am one, but one of my favorite pieces of graffiti that I've probably ever seen is like this almost caveman-esque, and it's so long gone. Like this is years removed now. But there was like this caveman-esque, like red, almost blood-looking, but it was definitely spray paint, like real shit drawing of a fox on I-5 that I saw. And it was on the express lanes, but there was something about it that was so tight. Like, you know, there were like burners and like straights and fills and shit all over it. But like the thing that actually looked tight was that, because I was like, that's sick. Like that's so pure.
So, near the end, I do some silly questions, and then rapid fire. We're gonna do silly questions first. Someone gives you an elephant that you can't sell or give away. What do you do?
Have a fucking awesome, huge homie that'll remember me forever. What do you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
That's a question?
Yep.
If you have any answer but that, like, I'm
Ride it to
surprised
work,
at
hello.
Elephant consenting.
Elephant consenting, ride it to work.
If you could choose one song to play every time you entered a room, what song would it be and why?
Friends by Neil Shisharega.
Yes. 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 That was exactly the song.
I just think it would catch everyone off guard.
If you could have any superhero power, what would it be and why?
The ability to heal and maintenance anything on myself and others.
Are you a hunter or a gatherer?
I think a gatherer, because anytime I've ever tried to hunt anything, I always just end up finding bullshit. But when I just let myself vibe and just discover things, like including the Animal House thing or friends or anything, I'm able to like usually get something way better. So yeah, gatherer. Can't force the funk.
Yeah, you can't force the funk. What two non-essential items would you want if you were stranded on an island?
I just really want you to know this does not come from any specific place. It truly came from the depths of my mind and is so irrelevant. I would bring a mozzarella stick and another mozzarella stick.
Rapid fire questions. Just
Oh no.
oh no. First thought, Canon or Nikon?
Nikon.
PlayStation or Xbox?
Xbox.
Oatmeal raisin or chocolate chip?
Chocolate chip.
Film or digital?
Dude, don't make me choose. Digital, don't take it personal.
Punk or hardcore?
Punk. I don't want to get killed.
Street shooting or show shooting?
Show.
Flash or no flash? So
no flash, bro.
I wrote that before your whole rant on your story.
Hella flash. Flash all
Hella
day.
flash all day. Talk about your beanie. I love the little dangles, the dongles.
They're inspired by Kate from Animal House because
Ah.
she is a fucking queen and very nice and has an interesting aesthetic along with all of them.
Oh,
And I just saw her like decorating the absolute shit out of hers. And after I got one, I was like, oh, this is cool. And to be honest, I didn't even decorate it intentionally. It started out as I found this symbol for a very good foundation that I should remember the name of, but I don't, which is painful, on the ground at a show. And there wasn't very many people at the show, and I knew most of them. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to take this, and I'll just keep it here. And if who owns it, like, discovers it, I can just give it back to them. It's chill. And no one claimed it ever, and people loved it to the point where, like, people started giving me things. So I got gifted this sword to put into it, and then the homie Peter gave me this pin, and then I found a bead on the ground and put it on the pin. And then I found this little ornament crown thing, and I put that on the pin. It's just kind of like a growing thing, although I don't think it can get too intense. I found one in Portland recently, and I put it on, and it was like way too much, so I took it off. It was like I kept hearing it, and I was like,
Get the fuck away. Thanks for the chat. Thanks for the yap. I'm very glad I got to talk to you.
yeah, no problem at all.
Thank you for joining us. ShoeLaced in Seattle.